Monday Onyekachi Ubani is a Nigerian lawyer who a couple years ago was detained for a long time, allegedly for his inability to produce in person a witness in a case of corruption. Much later, Mr. Ubani was set free after the suretied witness and a former chairman of the Nigerian Social Insurance Trustfund, Ngozi Olejeme, reappeared in the country to answer to her case. This development keeps bringing to the fore the discussion around human rights abuses by security agencies and allied services in the form of proxy arrests. Joining us now to share a personal experience and focus a bit more on how the cause of justice can be served going forward is Onyekachi Ubani, a lawyer and public affairs analyst. Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you very much. I must appreciate ARISE Television for this rare opportunity. Thank you. I'm grateful.
Yes. So can we start with exactly what transpired? Could you put us through the story of how your arrest came to be?
Yes, I'm going to do that in a summary form. There was this particular person called Dr Ngozi Olejeme that was declared wanted by EFCC under Maguden, who happened to be the acting chairman of EFCC. And so the woman got to me. She was looking for a human rights lawyer, and a sound one at that will actually help her over her case. So she got in touch with me from South Africa and told me that she was clearly innocent of those allegations of having allegedly stolen 69 billion naira. Well, I told her that the best thing for her to do is to come back to Nigeria. And she said she was afraid of unfair trial, and at the same time, she doesn't want to be detained. I said, why? Are you afraid? She said she has a medical issue. I said, okay, send me the report, the medical evidence of any medical issue. And she did, and I sent it to EFCC. And they told me that she had hired many lawyers before now, and that I'm not too sure that she's telling me the truth, that she will come back. I told them that I'm going to bring her back. So to cut a long story short, I succeeded in bringing her back to the country. She came back on a Sunday. On a Monday, I handed her over to the EFCC. And then the investigation started. So I had thought that with the allegation being heavy, that EFCC will hasten the investigation process and charge her to court. But lo and behold, for 4 solid months, EFCC did not charge her. Now, when she was granted administrative bail, she produced enough sureties, and reliable surety that would stand for her, but they refused those sureties and said that since I'm the one that brought her, being the second vice president of the Nigerian Bar Association, then that I am in a better position to be taken as a reliable surety. Well, since I was one that brought her back, and very soon she's going to be charged to court, and she's going to replace me as a surety since I'm her lawyer. I felt that the best thing to do in this circumstance was to stand for her, more so when I'm the one that brought her back. And she came with all her family members. There was no doubt that she wasn't a flight risk, so I stood surety for her. Now, I was expecting the EFCC to charge. They never did. What they did was to come through another matter that was unrelated to the matter for which she came for, a purely civil matter. Invaded her home. They were in her home for over 10 hours, ransacking her house. And I think on the hindsight, it appeared to me that they are the one that even told the woman to run away. And she did. The following month, EFCC now told me that they wanted to charge her. I said, well, she's in your custody. I mean, you people know where she is and all that. They said, no, you are the one that stood shorty. I said, for God's sake, I stood shorty for her, for your friend she came for. You never charged her to court over that matter. You came through a different angle to now drive her away. So what are you asking for? They said, Mr. Ubani, please do. To cut a long story short, I went through Interpol. Interpol placed the woman on red alert. Magu said he wanted me. I came. And I told Magus that the woman has been placed on red alert. Magus said I should be locked up. I said, for what? He said, I have committed a crime of not producing my client. I said, well, it's people that go to prison. So I went there. I engaged my lawyer in the person of Chief Mike Ezekome immediately, who sued, enforcing my fundamental human right. 7 days thereafter, the court ordered that if I have committed any offense, EFCC to charge me or release me conditionally. They failed to obey the court order. I was there for 23 days, during which NBA, other national bodies spoke on my behalf, including Femi Falana, senior advocate, including my lawyer, Chief Mike Ezekome. They all spoke favorably that I should be released, that it was wrong for EFCC to turn a matter that is purely civil into criminal. So Magu reluctantly eventually released me. Now, it wasn't because the woman came back that they released me. No, the woman came back thereafter. She came back last year. I was released at that time in 2019. And since that time, EFCC has failed to do the right thing because I demanded for apology and for compensation and they refused. So I had to go to court. The matter had been in court, lingered in court for years, but eventually judgment was delivered 2 or 3 days ago, in which one, the court held that it was clearly illegal for EFCC to term a matter that is purely civil into criminal. That if I have committed any offense, it is that I should show cause or forfeit my bail bond. It wasn't anything criminal for me to be detained. And for detaining me illegally, that was clearly wrong. I asked for 5 billion. The court awarded 12 million naira damages in my favor. So saying that it is actually wrong for somebody who's too shorty to be criminalized in a matter that is purely civil. And that is actually the kernel of the jurisprudence that has been once again re-established in that case.
Indeed, interesting perspective, Mr. Ubani, on your experience there. Now, there are many helpful crimes yet proven beyond reasonable doubt. Are there constitutional provisions to support such scenarios to uphold people's fundamental human rights when they're being illegally detained?
Yes, and this is what I have actually succeeded in doing. If at any point in time any of your rights are infringed upon, the Constitution of 1999, as amended, has given an ample opportunity for every aggrieved individual to seek for the protection of that right. In fact, even if the right is threatened, not even infringed upon, if you can prove that your right is being threatened, not even when it has been infringed upon, you have a right today under the rules for enforcement of fundamental human right rules, procedural rules, to go to court and then ask that the court should protect those rights, or if there is any infringement, for damages to be paid. And people under our constitution and law is presumed, any accused person is presumed innocent. What we see over time in this country is proper investigation is not being carried out. They lack the technical depth that is required in investigation process. Imagine a situation where our security agencies rely on raw form of investigative procedure. There is no science, there's no application of science and technology. And that is the reason why when they take you in, they begin to apply all manner of unorthodox method in order to extract what they call confessional statement. Whereas we see other countries, where when they investigate crime, before you are brought in, they have already done 95% of investigation. And when they bring you in, is to take your statement, and the next thing that they charge you to court. But here, they will bring you in and now start fishing for evidence, which is contrary to all known rules and procedure. And the next thing is that they infringe on your right. And that is why we're not getting it right in terms of the observance of human rights.
It seems like it's multiple miscarriages of justice. My question now is, what are your thoughts on the judiciary and the shortcomings within it, within the system, and ways to improve so that other people don't become victims to such actions?
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 days ago, the Nigerian Bar Association converged in Abuja and to talk about the issue of justice delivery, the issue of justice sector delivery, and what we are having by way of handicap. And they look at the issue of funding, they look at the issue of quick dispensation of justice, and then generally on administration of justice and what are those shortcomings and what we can do to improve on the system. The judiciary is a very important arm of governance and government. And the moment we fail to address some of those problems there, it will affect and bounce back on the society. We need to have an efficient justice delivery system. We need to fund our judiciary. We should also ensure that the recruitment process is very transparent and open, and merit is emphasized rather than man, no man principle that we apply in every sector of our economy and life. We get the best hand to, and those who are really called. There are those who have the disposition to be judges, and they have the integrity, they have the learning, and then the patience to be a judge. We must address those fundamental issues. If you don't get it right with the recruitment process, you don't get it right with putting the right infrastructure in place to ensure efficiency in the delivery system, of course, we won't get the best out of our judiciary. So it's a whole lot. It's a holistic discussion. It's a holistic interrogation that everyone must get involved in order to have a judiciary that is working. The issue of judiciary, the only arm that have the right to pronounce death or life on any person is a very important arm that should not in any way be neglected or not taken seriously. And it's a whole lot of discussion that is ongoing. And NBA is doing so much under Mr. Olumide Apata in order to ensure that we have the justice sector reforms that is necessary for the improvement of our system.
Indeed, Mr. Ubani, still talking about the issue of the rights of the judiciary itself. Let's have your take on the flagrant disregard of court orders. Are there sanctions on that? And what is the implication for equitable justice here, just like you alluded to earlier?
I think that everyone should get involved, and it's a serious issue. I mean, you get a judgment, and then that judgment is not being obeyed. There are two cases. There are two cases now that I brought to the attention of the entire world, and it's being published by Vanguard, and it's a living testimony. One was a particular client of mine that was actually shot by the Nigerian police. He had to go to India. I spent so much money in order to reclaim the hand, but of course the hand is still default. It's defective now. Now he came back and sued the Nigerian police, through our law firm. We got judgment. For 7 years now, we have been trying to enforce that judgment to no effect. We got a monetary judgment of 17 million. We even went to this NSAS panel and brought up this matter. The judge and the panel members do not do any justice. They referred us to the federal, when this matter could have been handled by the panel, because it was clearly an abuse, and for which that particular panel was set up. And so, for 7 years now, the Nigerian police have refused to obey that court order. And I have written to the Attorney General of the Federation. Up to now, have not gotten any response, because the rule says that you must write to the Attorney General of the state if it is a state government agency that is involved, or to the Attorney General of the Federation if it's federal agency. And up to now, as I speak to you, that judgment has not been obeyed. And there is another one. Also, a police officer that was involved in investigation. He was assigned to do a job. He arrested a big man who turned out to now allege that this policeman came to rob him. Nigerian police dismissed this police officer. For 25 years, this man has been outside the Nigerian police employment. He went to court, and the court ordered that he should be reinstated. Up to now, how many IGs have passed through? And we have written later, we have even gone to the Senate committee, and they ordered the Nigerian police should take him back. Up to now, that order has not been obeyed. We have this flagrant disobedience, and especially is rampant under this government that promised change. And to me, that is the worst that can happen to any country, where the judgment of a court is not obeyed, where you seek relief from a court, and a court makes a pronouncement, and it is against the government who has set up the particular institution, the judiciary, that should be obeyed, and they refuse to obey it. Over this, my own case is going to be a test case, because the world will hear about it. If EFCC fails to obey that judgment, and we keep on highlighting it upon every government that comes to power, that I am being owed 12 million naira. Until that money is paid, no government in Nigeria will ever have rest, because I will ensure that that judgment is obeyed. But my own happiness and joy is that this thing goes against any government that is in power, because there is history. People make history. People write reports, especially when report of every government is written. Part of the thing that will be written about them is their flagrant abuse and disobedience to court order. And it doesn't happen. It doesn't go well for any government to be so regarded as a government that flouts court order, that doesn't respect the rule of law. Is not in the interest of any government in power. So it's something that all of us should be concerned. I see no reason why somebody will make promises when he's coming into power. I'm going to obey rule of law. I will respect a court judgment. And when you get in there, you become, you begin to exercise high level of impunity and destroy the institution that you have built and all that you have been built over the years. It's not something that we should clap for any government. So it is in the interest of every government to obey court order. It is in the interest of every government to respect their institution. The moment institutions are not made strong, the country is clearly on a very faulty foundation. So I expect this government to change their ways and begin to respect court judgment and court orders and rule of law. It's important that they do that.
Onyekachi Ubani, thank you so much for joining the program this afternoon, and we wish you all the best in your journey.